So I remember being like, what, 5, 6 years old at the time. And when I was a kid watching WWF back then, when it was called the WWF, um, the one wrestler I loved more than anybody, besides The Rock or Chris Jericho, was Triple H. I was a huge fan of him. I liked his look. I liked how badass he looked. I liked how he came off like he can kick anybody's ass, and like he was on my poster. I had a poster of him. I had it hung up on the wall once upon a time, a few houses ago. I I I was not happy when he got hurt and was gone for so long, and then I had heard that he was coming back, and I was all ecstatic. I like that was the one time I stayed up late just to see that one moment. I stayed up for Raw that when I was a kid, 6 years old, to watch that moment. And sure enough, we got that moment. Triple H comes back at Madison Square Garden. And fans are erupting in cheers because they haven't seen this guy for so long. And here's the thing: at the time he had left, he was the villain of the story. He was supposed to be a heel, but and in his mind, Triple H said this in his mind that he thought he still was a heel, that he still was hated. But no, everyone was giving him a ovation, like welcome back, and everything. And Triple H said that he was trying his damnedest not to burst in tears, realizing that these people that he's supposed to make them hate him were all loving him, and they did. Like at that, I think they were trying to gun for him being a heel, and yet when they realized that Triple H was getting this big ovation, they were like, "We can't do that. We got to turn him face." And yeah, like it was such an awesome moment when Triple H came back. I loved every minute of that segment. That was one of my favorite moments. That was like the first Raw I watched of 2002 that year. Like, like I said, I was like what 6 at the time, and like I wasn't really that kind of person who liked a Chris Jericho at that time because I did take everything as seriously as possible. Like I thought everything I see on TV is real, everything here is real, and because these are real people, and like I was that naive. But oh man. And then when it was reviewed, when he made the announcement that he was going to be in the Royal Rumble, I was like, I have to watch that. I want to watch it. And that and the Royal Rumble 2002 event was I think overall my second pay per view experience. The first one was Vengeance 2001 when I saw Chris Jericho defeat one of my two favorites, Stone Cold and The Rock, and I was mad about that because I wanted them to be the undisputed champion. I didn't watch the Invasion storyline. I probably got a snippet of it. Like I did recall Chris Jericho and The Rock teaming up against Rhino and some other guy, and they lost, and Rhino beat them. I don't know the full stuff that went on because I didn't really knew what was going on at the time. I was introduced to this by a friend who was a huge fan of The Rock. So this was the first pay per view I would ever watch fully because here's the thing, like this was like the pay per view I was really anticipating for because this was my favorite. My favorite guy is back in the ring. He's gonna wrestle, and this would be the Royal Rumble match, the 15th edition of it, and this would be the last Royal Rumble of the WWF era, and it would change its name to the WWE in spring of 2002. Well, first it was called World Wrestling Federation, then WWF, then WWFE, then World Wrestling Entertainment, and now just WWE, because long names are harmful to children, I think, in Vince's eyes. So yeah, we get this match, the Royal Rumble. And our first entrant is Rikishi. The second is Goldust. I actually went back and watched the match after so many years of not watching it, and it still holds up for me at least. That's probably the nostalgic talking. But but the one thing I do remember out of all of that, even when I was taking this hiatus after 2002 when The Rock and Austin had left, Um, what was this moment where Maven, the most famous moment of his career, eliminated the Undertaker, and Undertaker just getting pissed off and just beating the crap out of him. And sadly, it didn't lead to anything. It didn't lead to a storyline between the two. It would have been interesting. But it had Undertaker beating up Maven, and I remember cringing when I was a kid, seeing his face bleed when his head got smashed into the popcorn machine, and Undertaker, being his big evil persona, was like, yeah, that was kind of hilarious. Um, so yeah, and yeah, like we got all these guys that I really didn't know at the time, like except for Rikishi because of Too Cool, but like at this time I had more like a I didn't have a strong memory in terms of I could recognize that guy, I could recognize that guy. Like the guys I could recognize besides Austin, Triple H, Jericho, Rock were Too Cool of Rikishi. One of my favorite of the group was Scotty Too Hottie. One of my other friends' favorite was Grandmaster Sexy, and the other one was what was Rikishi, his brother, and yeah, that was fun. We were having fun with all that when we would play their song and just go crazy when we were kids. Oh man, back when we were innocent and then the world got fucked all over. More so. So yeah. So yeah, I managed to also remember APA. I knew Farouk and Bradshaw because of their APA days, the Acolyte Protection Agency. Yeah, here's the thing. I didn't know what that APA stood for until years later after it was disbanded. Like that I came like when I was rewatching Monday Night Raw of the 1990s when APA had formed, when they were called the Acolytes, and I was like, "Oh, now I get it." And yeah. Oh, and also the Hardy Boys. Eh, yeah. But yeah, that the Undertaker beating up Maven was being eliminated by the Tough Enough One winner. That led to this massive shock reaction from the crowd. Like that was like it was hard to pull off a massive shock like that. Like I don't think that will ever be duplicated ever again. Like they tried to duplicate it with Roman Reigns with the Undertaker, I believe, but let's be real, everyone knew that was coming. So yeah. And then, like, afterwards, but I still also remember when Sky Toddy was coming out dancing and all that. Undertaker was like, fuck you! And, like, knocked him out for a couple of minutes when Christian got in the ring. But, yeah. So, yeah. And then they brought DDP in, and I didn't know his WCW run because I didn't know about WCW till, like, what, 2006? 5 at best? Okay, maybe 2009, but that might be a different story. But yeah, yeah, when I look at this now, I think, wow, you really did not get DDP, did you, Vince? Or did you do get him, but you just hate him? Because he went somewhere, because he was someone else's guy. So yeah, yeah, so and then we got some moment where then we got the Godfather with oh man, he brings out 12 ladies to dance with him, and it's like he say how he's gone legit with the I'm not gonna say it. How he's become an escort service now because that is totally believable. And then we get number 19. We get the Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Steve Austin. And this was around the time when he was at the what? Yeah, except here's the thing. When I rewatched it, like, given the context of how the What Chance become now, which Austin has revealed was his greatest regret in his career, besides getting a neck injury and wishing he could have went longer, was the what chance. Considering how plagued that is now, like when I was watching the Royal Rumble match, it was like, oh, it's fun, it's hilarious because it's Austin's gimmick. It was Austin's invention. But when it looked at years later with no Austin, and then people just started doing the what chance to insult anyone who spoke with a foreign language or someone they just didn't want to see on television, who's trying to work their ass off. Except for Lesnar, I will be okay if it's just Lesnar getting the what chance. It was really getting annoying with people, and Austin even got annoyed with it. And of course, Stone Cold goes ahead and stuns everybody, eliminates them, then throws them back in the ring and is like, I'm not finished, I have some time to kill because there's a 2-minute interval. He stuns them repeatedly and then eliminates them again. And then we get the ultimate moment of... but like also Testa came out and was eliminated. But here's the thing: Test won a battle royale, I believe, during Survivor Series in 2001. How he couldn't be fired because he won this battle royale, so he could do whatever he wants for a year. And here's the thing: imagine if something like that was done today. Please note, January from November to Vince, that's forever. From November to January, Vince can't remember what happened last week nowadays. So it's amazing how they managed to maintain the continuity of that now compared to now, whereas back then they were like, let's not treat the audience like they're dumb. Let's actually say, yeah, this happened. We're still running with it. And then Austin just goes ahead, checks his wristwatch with the tape, and like, and sure enough, we get the biggest pop of the night for with probably rivaling with Maven, was the Game, Triple H, coming out of number 22, and I was like, damn, he's ripped. And like, yeah, someone even mentioned on YouTube in the comments on one of the retrospectives of the match was that he got into bodybuilding when he was 8 years. When 8-year-old whatever his name is got into bodybuilding because of Triple H's physique at the time. And yeah, and like I liked how there's and this is just me interpreting it, but when Triple H was the heel, and he's always a phenomenal heel, and he could be a phenomenal face if done right. But when I love the moment when he did his entrance, how he's all covered in shadows and all darkness, and you don't see him, but when he steps out, he comes to the light, like he's abandoned the darkness in him for just one night because he's the face. And then you got 2004. Where Triple H is in the light during heading into his match with Randy Orton, and the lights cast down on him, causing it to go into shadow, and he's like in this dark state he's in. Like that, I love that entrance a lot. So yeah, those are honestly my two favorite normal entrances of Triple H because they did the camera work so well and the lighting so well. But yeah, nothing will be his WrestleMania phenomenal entrances he's done. Yeah. And yeah, so Triple H and Triple H and Austin finally duke it out and start fighting, and they're just being the throwing punches as the crowd goes nuts and wild to see their two favorites go at it. And the fact that there could be established storyline between them because of their past history with each other. And don't forget, because how it ended between them last time when they were the 2-man power trip and they fell in a classic match to Jericho and Benoit, or aka Voldemort. And then then the Hurricane comes out after the two clotheslined each other, and the Hurricane tries to see if he could chokeslam both Triple H and Austin. They were like, who the hell is this guy? And Triple H and Austin were like, fuck it. Ah! And sure enough, they get back to fighting. Farouk comes out, and he gets stunned and eliminated by Triple H. And then all of a sudden we get this one guy that, here's the thing, I didn't know who this guy was at the time. Now that I do, I feel like kicking my 6-year-old self. Like, this was a guy who was awesome. Where we get, for the first time since 1993, Mr. Perfect returns after being gone after being injured during his time in WWE and then taking a break and then going to WCW. He comes back and the action starts to slow down a bit, and then we get Kurt Angle, who enters his first match in the Royal Rumble at number 26, and yeah, a few months later he would lose that hair, so that's gonna be sad. And the crowd's chanting, "You suck! You suck! You suck! You suck!" Da 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 da. So yeah, that was hilarious. That was the good old days. So yeah, Triple H, Mr. Perfect, Steve Austin, and Kurt Angle are at it, going at it, and then we get the Giant, the Big Show. He beats down everybody. He doesn't really eliminate anybody. He's just there for a moment with Kane, Kane comes out, who had just come off of a year ago, had the longest record in Royal Rumble history with 11 eliminations, which is an iconic moment for everybody. And yeah, sure enough, Kane does Kane picks up the Big Show, the 500-pound Big Show, and just body slams him out of the ring, which was an awesome moment, and to show his immense strength. And then Austin hits a stunner on Kane, and Angle eliminates Kane with an angle slam over the top rope, which would lead to their WrestleMania encounter. And here's the thing about Kane: there's one storyline that, in theory, should be the stupidest idea in history that actually made sense. The moment in 2000 when Chris Jericho accidentally spilled coffee on Kane and Kane looked ready to kill Jericho, and that led to some matches between them. That made sense. If it was just on its own, then that would be the dumbest idea you ever could come up with a feud, but it at least made sense, because Kane suffered from burns. He was burned alive by The Undertaker. If you add in his context of storytelling he's had, how he's a victim of arson and everything, him having something like that on him, having a hot element on him, would probably get to him and cause him to go crazy. So yeah, that actually made sense. Yeah, I know I went on a tangent, I just wanted to bring that up. So yeah, afterwards, after Kane is eliminated and Big Show is eliminated, RVD comes out to a huge pop at number 29. He hits a 5-star frog splash on Angle. Then he takes down Hunter. Austin Perfect with kicks, Rolling Thunder on Austin. Then Triple H comes out of nowhere with a pedigree for the first time. Everybody's down and out. Mr. Perfect then hits a suplex on Angle. And then number 30 belongs to Booker T. Entering his first Rumble, he throws out RVD and then does the spinneroonie and hits him within less than 5 minutes. So he was in there for 2 minutes at best. Then it comes down to the final four: Kurt Angle, Mr. Perfect, the Texas Rattlesnake Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the Game Triple H. And sure enough, it goes. It's crazy. Everyone's ecstatic. At the time, Mr. Perfect could still go. He was doing a strong showcase. In fact, fans were so invested with Mr. Perfect and his performance that it would lead to him getting a full-time contract in WWE that sadly would last for a couple of months until the Ride to Hell incident on the plane, where he wrestles Brock Lesnar and nearly gets killed for it. Almost thrown out the plane kind of thing while near the airlock. Yeah, that almost happened. So, yeah. So then Mr. Perfect and Kurt Angle start teaming up to eliminate Austin, and sure enough, after Austin nearly eliminates Mr. Perfect, Angle charges in and dumps Austin out of the ring. Then Austin, being Stone Cold Steve Austin, who defies authority, attacks everybody, grabs the steel chair, and whams everyone's head in. Angle, Perfect, Triple H, then just walks out like, I have no regrets here. Oh, I'm pissed off beyond belief, but I have no regrets. And then, sure enough, Mr. Perfect comes out Mr. Perfect attacks Kurt Angle with a huge pop to everybody when he hits the Perfect Plex for the first time, and then tries to go for a net, then does the flying snap nair, and then Triple H gets back up to eliminate Mr. Perfect, and they're down to Triple H and Kurt Angle. Triple H tackles him to the ground, laying punches to him, and Kurt Angle then counters with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex, and then gets closer to eliminating Triple H, but Triple H is fighting back. Hunter charges, Angle hits a backdrop, but Triple H hangs on with his feet dangling, a little bit like Shawn Michaels, his old buddy. Then Triple H comes out like, oh, and then charges, hits the classic knee to the face, and causing Kurt Angle to stumble towards the ropes, and Triple H clotheslines him out of the ring for the win. The crowd explodes, and Triple H is like, and Kurt Angle's moping and crying. So yeah, that was, and even though 2001's Royal Rumble is considered the all greatest, this was honestly my favorite Royal Rumble, if for nothing else because of the nostalgic sake. Like, it still holds up, but for nostalgic reasons, this is on my top 2 favorite all-time Royal Rumbles. Just for the sake of it, like the first one is the 2001 match, and probably in third place would be the one where Ric Flair won the WWF World Championship. But yeah, Triple H winning was, to everyone's common sense, was the right call to everybody at the time. And everyone was ecstatic. Like, this guy tore his quad, was told you might never wrestle again. He worked 8 months of hell of rehabilitation to get back into the game. And sure enough, he came back with this explosive reunion. He comes back. He's better than ever. Well, sort of speaking. Like, remember, Triple H had to change his wrestling style in order to accommodate for the torn quad incident. So yeah, that was problematic in and of itself. But like I said, I only got into Triple H, but I didn't really know his wrestling style. I just loved the character and what was seen on TV. So yeah, a lot of Triple H's matches I always ranked as my favorites because, hey, it's Triple H. Yeah, I would, okay, some people might say, since I praise Triple H a lot on Twitter, like, people would probably say, so you're a Triple H marg? No. This is me being a fan of the NXT program, what he's given us, but I was a wide-eyed, all loyal Triple H fan through and through back then, even when he was doing the whole Reign of Terror thing, because I didn't know what the hell was going on backstage. If I had known then, I probably would have mixed opinions on him, especially when he did the whole promo with Booker T that was considered very questionably racist. Yeah, that's still uncomfortable to talk about. And especially how the Fallout was supposed to have Booker T win, but Triple H just wasn't willing to put him over. Yeah, the Reign of Terror, if I had known what was going on at the time with all the backstage politics, my opinion of Triple H back then would have been very different, most likely. So, but yeah, in terms of looking back on it now and everything, like, I still love this match. It had some of my favorite guys back then, had my all-time favorite, and had my other favorites like Austin involved, The Undertaker, Kane, Scotty 2 Hotty, Kurt Angle, they were all in it. I was loving this match from beginning to end. But I really loved the end part where Triple H came out because it was Triple H. So yeah, yeah, the king of was back in the game. It was time to play the game again, so that was fun. And this would lead to a Fallout storyline with between him, Stephanie Vince McMahon, Kurt Angle, and then later Stephanie McMahon and Chris Jericho for WrestleMania, heading into WrestleMania and No Way Out. And as for Austin, well, he would go on to fight the Chris Jericho, then fight Scott Hall, and then would later on leave the company in protest due to everything that was going on at the time. So yeah, those were my thoughts on the 2002 Royal Rumble match, the 15th anniversary, the 15th Royal Rumble match as a whole, aka the ascension of Triple H once more, or the return of the game. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. So if you like, comment, subscribe, and donate, stay tuned for more, and I'll catch you next time.